Hello everyone. Today's topic is biomolecule. In biomolecule, we are going to introduce this chapter and the concept in today's video, and the videos which are going to come next will have a different section on the same chapter. So when we say biomolecule, simplify करते हैं उसको break करते हैं terminology क्यों? That is bio living, right? The word bio means living. Molecules which forms a living organism, we call it as biomolecule. जब हम living organism को देखते हैं, we say that organism, a living organism shows presence of various organ systems. These organ systems are said to be made up of various organs. Organs are said to be made up of various tissues. Tissues are made up of cells. Cells contain various organelles and to perform a function for the cell, and these organelles are said to be made up of molecules, and these molecules are said to be made up of atoms, right? So today we are going to talk about molecules which forms a living organism. Now when we try to study the composition, chemical composition of cell, we do two types of analysis. The first one, to understand the inorganic elements and its compound, what we do, we take a living cell, we take its weight, we dry it out, all the water vapor evaporates, and then we burn the cell. Now, when we do this burning of the cell, all the carbon compounds will get oxidized, even water vapor will be evaporated, and what you get is the ash. And when we do a ash analysis technique, what we can come to know about the various inorganic components, and when we compare these inorganic components with the earth crust, we can see that about 96% of the component in the human body is formed by majorly oxygen, followed by carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen. Whereas in earth crust, you will see 46% weight of the oxygen, followed by silicon, followed by calcium, sodium and magnesium. So this is a comparison between a living matter with the non-living matter with respect to certain elements. Apart from that, even sulfate and potassium ions or compounds are also present in the living cell. Okay, so by and large, when you look at the elemental composition of the living cell, 96.3% it is of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen. In fact, just these three together, that is OCH together, forms 93%, whereas addition of nitrogen, it becomes 96.3%, whereas remaining 3.7% weight of the human body is starting from calcium to phosphorus to potassium to sulfur, sodium, chloride and magnesium. Apart from that, even 0.01% is because of boron, chromium, cobalt, copper, etc. as well. So definitely students, this is very important MCQ point. When we look at the chronological, or I would say the descending order in which these elements are present, the maximum in human body is of oxygen. Even in earth crust, it is oxygen. But second over here, it is carbon. Over earth crust, it will be silicon. Then in human body, it is hydrogen, nitrogen, and so on. So that is an inorganic elemental analysis. Now, what is more important for this particular chapter for you all is to understand its organic chemical composition. हम बायोलॉजी की बात कर रहे हैं, बायोलॉजी में बायोमोलिक्यूल की बात कर रहे हैं, और जब हम ऑर्गेनिक कंपोनेंट्स की बात करते हैं, हाउ डू वी ऑब्टेन इट? सो व्हाट वी डू, we take a cell, we take a living cell, let's say it is of liver or some vegetable, we mix it with trichloroacetic acid. I repeat, we mix it with trichloroacetic acid. With the help of mortar and pestle, we'll grind it or we crush it. That makes a thick slurry, and when you strain this thick slurry through a cheesecloth or a fine cotton, what you obtain are two components. One, we call it as an acid soluble pool or a filtrate, and second, we got it as a acid insoluble pool, or what we call it as a retentate. And when you compare the components of this filtrate, यानी कि वो component जो filter होके यहाँ beaker में collect हो रहा है, और retentate जो cheese cloth में या cotton में रह गया, and when you look at its composition, those molecules which are less than 1000 Dalton in size are part of acid soluble pool, and those molecules which are more than 1000 Dalton in size are part of acid insoluble pool. So basically what you will find, acid soluble pool, or I would rather call it as a filtrate, will show presence of simple sugars like monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, amino acids, and nucleotides. Okay, whereas retentate shows presence of polysaccharides, proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids. Okay, filtrate में apart from this four, even you will find many inorganic elements. But majorly what we are going to focus are on this four, whereas retentate has polysaccharide, proteins, nucleic acid, and lipids. Now there is a reason why I have highlighted lipids. Lipids structurally 1000 Dalton के size के नहीं है, उससे छोटे हैं. But still it is a part of acid insoluble pool. It's a part of retentate. Reason, when we grind the cell, living cell, with the trichloroacetic acid, the lipid molecule present in the cell, being water insoluble, forms a vesicles, and those vesicles are unable to pass through the filtrating apparatus, and that's the reason it becomes a part of retentate. So ideally lipids are not strictly macromolecule. I repeat, lipids are not strictly macromolecule, but because of its solubility property, it is a part of macromolecule. Otherwise, with respect to definition through size, it's only polysaccharide, protein, and nucleic acids are macromolecule, whereas lipid, on basis of the size, it's micromolecule, but on basis of the solubility, it is a macromolecule. Now, another important point, what is a percentage of each of this molecule in a cell? So now very important point, what percentage each of this molecule constitutes of our cell? So definitely in a cell, living cell, the major component is of water. So अगर मुझे percentage wise देखना है, then definitely water, which constitutes 70 to 90% of the cell, 70 to 90% of the cell cellular mass is of water. But अगर मैं organic component की बात करूं, then protein, which forms 10 to 15%, then comes a second organic component, that is of nucleic acid, followed by carbohydrate, lipids, and ions. So अगर मुझे MCQ में average composition में with respect to mass लिखना है, then definitely water, which is more than protein, which is more than nucleic acid, which is more than carbohydrate, which is more than lipid, and lipids are said to be more than ions with respect to cellular mass, total cellular mass. So very important MCQ point with respect to average cellular mass of the cell. So as we discussed earlier, in a living organism, ultimately basic unit of life, cell shows various components, or what you call it as organelles. Organelles are said to be made up of molecules, and now these molecules, we break it down to study its detailed structure. So this chapter where we will be studying different types of nucleotides present in our body, which forms DNA, different types of lipids or basic composition of lipids, which forms our main cell membrane or a plasma membrane, followed by proteins playing a major role in our body for metabolism, hormone actions, etc. And the basic unit of proteins, amino acids. We will be looking at various amino acids, as well as we start the chapter with the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, which not just forms the cell wall in case of the plant cell, but also फर्स्ट एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रेस्पिरेटरी सबस्ट्रेट. सो फोटोसिंथेसिस में भी हम लोग कार्बोहाइड्रेट बनाते हैं, यानी कि ग्लूकोज बनाते हैं, और रेस्पिरेशन में वही ग्लूकोज को ब्रेक करके हमारी एनर्जी करेंसी देखते हैं. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड इट्स स्ट्रक्चर एंड व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट प्लेइंग अ डिफरेंट रोल इन आवर बॉडी. So before we talk about these four major macromolecules in detail, let us also understand this. All molecules are called as metabolites. Now these metabolites we classify into two categories. There is something called as primary metabolites and something called as secondary metabolite. यानी कि वो मेटाबोलाइट, वो मॉलिक्यूल जो सेल के अंदर हमें मिला है, and if it has been found to have a function, identifiable function हमें उसका पता है, then we call them as primary metabolites. As mentioned, living organism produces thousands of molecules and they are required for basic or primary metabolic processes, and they are called as primary metabolites. यानी कि जिसका function हमें पता है, we classify them as a primary metabolite. But apart from that, we have seen that in many plants, fungi and in microbes, I repeat, many plants, fungi and in microbes, we have found certain molecules, organic molecules, जिनका उस होस्ट ऑर्गेनिज्म के अंदर कोई रोल पता नहीं है या कोई रोल अब तक आइडेंटिफाइबल नहीं है. So yes, many plants, fungi and microbes which synthesize various organic molecules which are not involved in primary metabolism, or they does not have a direct role in growth or the development. So that's why, and but at the same time they are useful to human welfare or are useful for the ecosystem, and they are called as secondary metabolite. In our syllabus, we have this set of secondary metabolites which is involved, for example, carotenoid, anthocyanin. Pigments है, काफी सारे plants में उनका कोई function identifiable नहीं है, but definitely these are antioxidant and very much useful to the humans. Morphine, codeine, these are basically alkaloid produced from that opium poppy seed plant. Does not have a role in them, but yes, morphine, a very potent painkiller. Codeine you will find in a cough syrup. Monoterpenes, diterpenes, very effectively used in pharmaceutical and food industry. Essential oils such as lemongrass oil, which is used for muscle relaxant as a massage. Toxin like heparin and ricin, which has been now involved in various, I would say, cancer treatment property because of its ability to destroy the cells. Concavalin A lectin, which has been found to be a stimulator to the immune system, so very much used in research labs. Vinblastine, which has been already known anti-cancerous drug, or curcumin. Again, we have found its immunological property. And we all know the utility of rubber gums and cellulose. So yes, pigments, alkaloid, terpenoid, essential oil, toxins, lectins, these are the group in which these metabolites are classified, and very, very important for your MCQ with respect to NEET. बिकॉज आपको मैच द फॉलोइंग में, मैच द कॉलम टाइप के क्वेश्चन में या सिलेक्ट द ऑड वन आउट के क्वेश्चन में ये पार्ट से एमसीक्यू डेफिनेटली आता है. सो दिस इज अबाउट प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी मेटाबोलाइट्स, एंड इन ब्रीफ अबाउट सेकेंडरी मेटाबोलाइट्स. जो प्राइमरी मेटाबोलाइट हमारे है, यानी कि जिसका फंक्शन हमें पता है, दैट इज कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, वेरियस प्रोटीन्स, lipids and nucleic acids. Now we will talk about them in detail. So let's start with the first, carbohydrates.